Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 3 of Aiming for C1, where I take a piece of writing and up-level it to a C1 level and beyond. Let's begin. I'll start by reading the original text, which is a review of a hotel. So the title is My Worst Hotel Experience. The worst hotel I ever stayed in was the Oak Tree Hotel in London. I have not one good word to say about this hotel. First of all, the food was disgusting. For example, the breakfast was very basic and didn't have a lot of choice. Furthermore, there was not any vegetarian option, even though it was on the website when I reserved. Secondly, it was not a clean hotel. For example, the bathroom was not being cleaned each day. The bed sheets were not being changed and the carpet was dirty. Even the windows were dirty. Thirdly, the people that worked in the hotel were very rude. On my first day, I lost my wallet, but they didn't seem to care and they didn't help me at all. My mother needed help with her suitcase, but the man at the reception didn't help her in any way. I would never return to this hotel and I would definitely not recommend it at all. It was the worst hotel I stayed in. Thank you to the subscriber who sent in this text. I would say this was around a B1 level, a high B1. It is quite basic in terms of vocabulary and there are also some grammatical mistakes. So let's see how we can improve it. Let's begin with the title. My Worst Hotel Experience. I'm going to change that to My Hotel Nightmare. So the word nightmare, which of course means a bad dream, can also be used to describe a very bad experience, so it can be used metaphorically. The worst hotel I ever stayed in was the Oak Tree Hotel. I'm going to begin with the Oak Tree Hotel was, and then they've said the worst hotel I ever stayed in was the Oak Tree Hotel. I'm going to say the Oak Tree Hotel was, and instead of worst, I'm going to use this adjective, vile. Vile means really awful and terrible and disgusting. But I'm going to say the vilest, which means the most vile. So the Oak Tree Hotel was the vilest hotel. And then instead of saying I have ever stayed in, I have ever had the misfortune to visit. So this expression, the vilest hotel I have ever had the misfortune to visit, is very high level. It's a complex sentence. Let me give you some more examples. The most disgusting food I have ever had the misfortune to eat. The rudest man I have ever had the misfortune to meet. And I'm going to add in an adverbial here. The Oak Tree Hotel was, comma, without a doubt, the vilest hotel I have ever had the misfortune to visit. And then I want to say here, it says, I have not one good word to say about this hotel. This does not sound native-like. I think it is grammatically correct. I have not one good word. I would say I don't have one good word to say about this hotel, but I'm going to up-level this. I'm going to say, I struggle. Struggle means that you find something difficult. I struggle to recall. Recall is a higher level word for remember. It's a synonym for remember. I struggle to recall one positive aspect of this, and then I don't want to repeat the word hotel, so I'm going to say establishment. Establishment means a business of this, and I want to use an adjective. Deplorable means really bad. So the Oak Tree Hotel was, without a doubt, the vilest hotel I have ever had the misfortune to visit. I struggle to recall one positive aspect of this deplorable establishment. And I'm going to use one of my favourite words, indeed, comma. I struggle to recall one possible aspect of this deplorable establishment. You can begin a sentence with indeed in this way to emphasise the sentence. So we've got, first of all, the food was disgusting. There is another expression, first and foremost. First and foremost, the food was disgusting. The food was quite simply, and then instead of disgusting, look at this word, revolting. It's a fantastic adjective and it simply means disgusting. So we need to give an example. For example, the breakfast was very basic and didn't have a lot of choice. So let's keep for example. For example, now there is a word which means basic and it is rudimentary. So the rudimentary breakfast, and it said didn't have a lot of choice. I'm going to say offered little choice. Now, the reason I've done that is this sentence is fine. For example, the breakfast was very basic and didn't have a lot of choice, but have is an overused verb. So I've used the verb offered because it is giving us variety of vocabulary. Furthermore, there was not any vegetarian option. Now, I want to draw your attention to this sentence. There is a grammatical mistake here. Even though, which means although, is a subordinating conjunction. And a subordinating conjunction will link a main clause and a subordinate clause. So this sentence should read, furthermore, comma, there was not any vegetarian option, comma, even though it was on the website when I reserved. You cannot use even though in the way that it has been used here. That is grammatically incorrect. I'm going to rewrite this sentence. Furthermore, a vegetarian option. Now they said there was not any. I'm going to use a fantastic adjective. A vegetarian option was non-existent. And then, instead of saying even though it was on the website when I reserved, I'm going to use despite appearing on the website. So instead of just on the website, appearing on the website when I made the reservation. So let's take a look at this. Look at this here. Despite appearing on the website when I made the reservation. So when you use despite like this way, if you have a verb following it, you need to use the gerund ing. So for example, despite living in California, comma, I do not like the sun. I do not like the sun, comma, despite living in California. I am going to add in an adverb. When I naively made the reservation. This is a C2 adjective. Naively, it means you didn't understand what you were doing. You were very innocent. Now, remember, I will be editing the essay at the end, so if you've spotted any mistakes, we can correct those when we've done all of the paragraphs. Now let's start with the second paragraph. So we have here, secondly, it was not a clean hotel. So if we start with, secondly, I'm going to say the hotel was utterly filthy. Filthy means extremely dirty and utterly means very. It's a great adverb to use, utterly, because this writer uses very way too much. We'll start with for instance. For instance and for example can be used almost in the same way, and we've already used for example. Now it says here the bathroom was not being cleaned each day. That's grammatically incorrect. It should say the bathroom had not been cleaned. That would be grammatically correct. Had not been cleaned. I'm going to actually change it even more. The bathroom was not cleaned on a daily basis. Then let's look at the next sentence. The bed sheets were not being changed. So that should say the bed sheets had not been changed and the carpet was dirty. So if I say here, I'm going to use a fronted adverbial to make matters worse. So I'm saying an even worse thing happened. To make matters worse, the bed sheets were not changed and the carpet was dirty. And then we've got this last sentence, even the windows were dirty. In fact, even the windows were, and then we've already used the word dirty, so I'm going to say coated in dust. Thirdly, the people that worked in the hotel were very rude. Let's keep thirdly. Now, the people that worked in the hotel, well, first of all, if you're going to use a relative clause, that worked in the hotel. If you're talking about people, I think it would be better to say who. The people who worked in the hotel were very rude. However, there is a simpler way of saying this. Thirdly, the hotel staff. And then I'm going to use another word to mean rude. This is a very formal, high-level word. Thirdly, the hotel staff were discourteous. That means they were very rude. We've got here, on my first day, I lost my wallet. So on my first day, that's a fronted adverbial, also known as a sentence starter, so it needs a comma. And then instead of lost, I'm going to say, I misplaced. To misplace means to lose my wallet. And then, instead of having but, I'm going to start a new sentence with however, comma. So, they didn't seem to care and they didn't help me at all. However, so instead of saying they didn't seem to care, they did not show the slightest interest. And then, this is a great way to link the sentence. We'll use the conjunction nor. Nor did they offer me any assistance. So, some assistance is help. Now, using nor in this way is a great way of writing an advanced sentence. For example, I have not visited France, nor have I visited Italy. Now we have the bit about the mother. My mother needed help with her suitcase, but the man at the reception didn't help her in any way. First of all, there is a spelling mistake here. Anyway and anyway. Look up the difference. I'm going to now use moreover. Moreover, it means furthermore. My mother, and instead of saying needed help, I'm going to put required support. I would like to say assistance, but I've just used assistance in the previous sentence. And then we'll put with her luggage. And then we've got but the man at the reception didn't help her in any way. You can use yet to mean but. And again, this is an advanced example of language usage. Yet, and instead of saying the man at the reception, the receptionist. And I've got a great idiom here for you. Did not lift a finger to help. To not lift a finger to help means did not do anything to help at all. Now let's look at the final paragraph. I would never return to this hotel and I would definitely not recommend it at all. It was the worst hotel I ever stayed in. Absolutely fine, grammatically correct. The only thing is it is a bit basic, so we're going to improve it. So I'm going to start off by saying this. To say I would not return. Now I've noticed this. There is a mistake here. It says I would not return this hotel. The verb return can be used in at least two ways. The first way is when you give something back. For example, I bought a shirt, but I returned it the next day. That means I took the shirt back to the shop and I gave it to them and then they gave me my money back. However, here we are missing the preposition to. I would never return to this hotel. When you return to a place, it means you go back to this place. I would not return to this hotel is the understatement of the century. Okay, let's take a look at this because it's quite a complicated sentence. In one of my other videos, I talked about the word understatement. It's the opposite of exaggerate, to understate. So, to say that I would not return to this hotel is an understatement. It means my feelings are really, really strong. So to say I would not return to this hotel is an understatement. And then there is an idiom in English, and it is the understatement of the century. So you can use that for lots of different things. Imagine I went to somewhere on holiday. I could say, to say I would not return to that country is the understatement of the century. To say he is the rudest man I've ever met is the understatement of the century. It was the worst hotel I ever stayed in. So I'm going to say it was unquestionably, fantastic adverb, the worst place, and then another idiom. I have ever set foot in. To set foot in means to visit. And the only recommendation I make is that you avoid it like the plague. That last part is a fantastic idiom. To avoid something like the plague. Look that up. you can use that in writing and in speech. Now we're going to look at the final version of this review and see if we can make any further edits. My hotel nightmare. The Oak Tree Hotel was, without a doubt, the vilest hotel I have ever had the misfortune to visit. Indeed, I struggle to recall one positive aspect of this deplorable establishment. First and foremost, the food was quite simply revolting. For example, the rudimentary breakfast offered little choice. Furthermore, a vegetarian option was non-existent, despite appearing on the website when I naively made the reservation. I've noticed a mistake. It talks about the food being disgusting, but then we've said, for example, the rudimentary breakfast offered little choice. That's not an example of the food being disgusting. That's another problem. If you use, for example, then you need to actually give it an example. So, for example, I could say the food was quite simply revolting. For example, comma, I discovered a hair in my porridge. That is something disgusting, to discover a hair in your porridge. That's an example of something being revolting. Furthermore, a vegetarian option was non-existent, despite appearing on the website when I naively made the reservation. Secondly, the bathroom was utterly filthy. For instance, the bathroom was not cleaned on a daily basis. To make matters worse, the bed sheets were not changed and the carpet was dirty. In fact, even the windows were coated in dust. We can improve this a little more. The carpet was littered with dirt. So this littered with, great expression, you can look that one up. Thirdly, the hotel staff were exceptionally discourteous. On my first day, I misplaced my wallet. However, they did not show the slightest interest, nor did they offer me any assistance. Moreover, my mother required support with her luggage, yet the receptionist did not lift a finger to help. To say I would not return to this hotel is the understatement of the century. It was unquestionably the worst place I have ever set foot in, and the only recommendation I make is that you avoid it like the plague. I am going to include this in a PDF ebook of all my advanced examples of writing, so check out the link in the description box to see when that becomes available. I really hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like and leave me a comment in the comments section. You could also share it with anyone you think would like it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.